Hey, happy Tuesday. And unfortunately, it's another day of no Stream Deck because I didn't get it signed up or set up
Get
yet.
it together, JD.
I know. I just want to play all the sound effects. And I have all these buttons now, but they don't do anything. And that's a big problem for me. I keep pressing as if it's going to work all of a sudden. Somehow you guys remotely loaded stuff in there. Anyways, it's Tuesday. It's an exciting day here in sunny Florida. I don't know what it's like in freezing Edmonton, but probably snowy and shit. And we're here with another episode of Go FUD Yourself. Live show, Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We're on all the major venues. Help us get the word out. Like, share, subscribe. What the hell are we talking about today, Kiara?
Tuesday has become this weird lawyer day where we just talk about all the lawyer posturing and all of the U.S. court cases because somehow that deserves its own half hour. And today is absolutely no different. We're going to talk about Binance in court, why that matters, what it implies for CZ, what's going to happen in the States with Binance, and the massive settlement that they're currently talking about. And then we're going to transition into Kraken, who has previously paid $30 billion in settlements and they're facing difficulty again with the SEC. So we'll jump into that. I think there'll be a lot of opining today. And then towards the end, we also are going to talk about Apple. Apple is also under a class action lawsuit because they engaged in anti-competitive practices within peer-to-peer payment options. So essentially they've been a little bit anti-crypto. So it's really a lawsuit day in America.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are kind of insane. But
let's talk about it later. Let's get going.
Yeah, we'll dig right in. Okay, quick shout out to our friends at Tashi for the hoodie. I'm pretty sure I wore this just a few days ago, but it's chilly in my office. So here we are. We're in the Tashi hoodie.
Cool.
We don't commercialize the pod. So if you want your brand on the pod, you got to send us merch. Kiara in particular is looking for merch because there's not a whole lot of Z ladies merch that is appropriate. So if you have ladies merch, we're in.
I was trying to convince Kyberswap for a while to make bikinis.
Yeah, I'm totally down with making bikinis. Actually, Christine and I were talking about that not that long ago.
I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, I've got some funny jokes there, but they're maybe not PC enough, so we'll leave it. Let's fucking go.
Okay, so Binance, the long and the short of Binance is that they did a lot of bad stuff, maybe, and they're going to settle out of court with the SEC for about $4 billion. When they do so, or if they do so, that will allow Binance to continue to operate in the United States. However, it's likely that CZ will still be charged with other criminal personal charges within the States, but probably they can't extradite him from wherever he is. That's it. That's all your news in a nutshell. It's our whole episode today.
A whole episode talking about Binance. So, okay. We've been talking about our confusion with respect to Binance for, I think, months. Like every single thing they seem to be doing, we talk about it on the pod and then we think about it and we shake our heads and we go, what? And maybe they knew this was a possibility all along and that was their approach. I still don't think most of the actions they took leading up to now lend itself well to this. I am happy to see and happy to hear that CZ is not individually off the hook because there's very few circumstances where the founders or operators of a business are actually liable. And that's usually during obvious and gross negligence, which in this particular case, I think it was worse than negligence. I think it was intentional criminality in some ways. And so I'm happy that, he's not able to just buy his way out of any concern here. Binance
he has, though. He's bought his way into the UAE, and so he's bought his way out of
SEC concern. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I mean, yeah, $4 billion, like, let's not feel bad for them that this is,
$4 billion, which will allow them to continue to operate.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to all of us, but Binance has made a pile of money, arguably, by acting outside of established guidelines and laws. And so for that reason, they shouldn't be able to capture as much profit. I mean, This one's, it's kind of insane. I have a hard time with this because I feel like it sure lends itself well to Gary Gensler's $5 billion revenue estimate for the year.
Also what I thought.
That's a pretty big number that contributes to that 5 billion. But anyways, it's pretty hefty. I think there's some other things that we're not really thinking about. All of these articles more or less say they pay the fine and they can continue operating. Well, not really. They can't continue operating as they are, because they're as they are outside of the acceptance of regulators. So it's not quite that simple. It's not just pay and keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, that's not entirely true. So if you look at the actual allegations, one is money laundering, another is bank fraud, and the third is violating U.S. sanction laws. So they can continue operating if they continue operating as a central exchange that is specifically not money laundering, providing bank fraud, or giving money to the Russians, I guess. That's what they're going for.
No, they can't, in my opinion. And the reason for that is we'll see. Exactly what they're saying to Kraken is exactly what would happen to Binance had they tried to continue. And we're seeing the same thing. Coinbase is also in a lawsuit over the exact same thing. You cannot be a centralized exchange in America and service American users without abiding, currently today, according to the SEC, without abiding by securities laws, period, end of story. That's what all of these enforcement actions are implying. Whether we believe that to be accurate or not, doesn't matter. That's how these enforcements are happening. And as we've said many times, there's only a few groups in the space that can actually fight this shit. The rest of them, you have no choice but to just pay it. And that is ridiculous, in my opinion. Having said
I do want to point out that this is primarily American news. This is the question is how much has been requested, not how much is actually going to be paid. And likewise, Binance has not yet commented, probably because CZ will just give them the middle finger. But when reached out to, Binance has not actually commented. The Department of Justice has declined to comment. This is purely the SEC has said, if you give us $4 billion, we will settle. I'm curious if they go below the $4 billion, or if there's a lot of negotiation or what have you, if this good faith will be lost and if we will see ongoing court cases. Bloomberg predicts that they're just going to pay the $4 billion before the end of the year, which, like, wow, what a Christmas bonus to the SEC. But I'm not so sure.
I really don't, honestly, I really don't know what to expect on this one. $4 billion seems like an awfully random round number. I mean, I didn't see any explanation of damages or lost funds or costs to society. Like, I didn't see any of that shit. So, like, generally speaking, damages are some multiple of some costs or something. Like, there's some calculus on how to come to those numbers. I didn't see anything. To me, it just seems like a big number, and they're like, they pay it. Cool. I don't know. This should be concerning for people. I'm kind of fuddy about this, to be honest, because I think on the surface, it's easy for us to say, yeah, CZ, shithead, Binance. We all have said for years that some weird shit has been happening out of Binance. That's not really surprising. But what is surprising, I think, is just the intensity with which they're going after these entities now. And I mean, we're seeing this across the board in America. Like, it's not like certain entities of certain sizes are exempt. It's actually everybody. Essentially, they've just cast a super broad net. They're catching everybody, and right now they're going after the people they know can pay. If they came after many projects, it would just bankrupt them, period. Like, you'd just be bankrupt, that's it.
So it's so fascinating that you are talking about how funny this is, because I also think it's really funny news. But all of the news articles, including all of the American analysts who are quoted in these articles, are all super positive about how this is going to bring clarity to the regulation and about how this will improve liquidity in crypto in America and so on and so forth. But, like, I just don't see it in that same positive light.
No, I mean, I'm a big proponent of justice. So I do think that when people break the law, we should fucking pursue it, period. I think too much of that doesn't happen currently. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, which, I don't know, I kind of feel like is beyond just the normal, like, they got what they deserved. Like, this to me seems like it's punitive, it's making a statement, it's trying to send signals. Like, there's a lot of politicking here too. I'm not as positive. I don't think that if Binance pays a fine, that all of a sudden everybody's gonna be like, oh fuck, perfect. We're in America. Let's throw a bunch of money in the market again. Like what? That's not what's going to happen. I don't know.
Well, although, okay, we say that, but despite all of this going on, BNB did go up 6% after this news went out.
Yeah, but for no reason. If anything, it's stop hunting. Everybody assumed BNB would go down, so they pumped the price and liquidate everybody that had shorts on. Like these little like day of price fluctuations, when we're talking like 7 to 10 or 12%, that's like not out of the ordinary for most assets most days in crypto. Like 7 to 10% is like, oh, okay. But we reported here like it's some crazy catalyst that like changed crypto as we know it. It didn't, and it's not going to. It's not going to make anything better. If anything, it's going to make it worse in the short term, in my opinion. And it's going to make it worse because, yet again, we have another example of how you really can't participate properly in the United States right now as a protocol or as a user. That's all there is.
Well, okay, let's dive into that a little bit more, because the other reason that people might find that they can no longer participate in a meaningful way is that the SEC has now gone after Kraken about not registering their securities and their critical function securities, because they have just decided that I believe it was Cardano and Solana are in fact securities.
Yeah, this is like, again, this is more of the same. Like this whole thing when Kraken got the $30 million fine for their Lend product, they just paid it. And Jesse was also very vocal. He has since become not the CEO since the last.
Because he says things like, and I love this quote. This is my favorite quote right now from Jesse about this. If you can't afford it, get your crypto company out of the US war zone.
Because he pulls no punches. Like he just says exactly what he's thinking, which is fine. But this to me again is like, okay, so everybody was operating with best efforts in mind, asking for clarity, asking for some regulatory certainty. None was given. No guidance was given, and now all of a sudden you can determine way after the fact. We actually think now that this is outside of the law, and now we're going to actually charge you for it. We didn't think so before, and we didn't give you any insight on it, but now we're going to charge you for it. This to me is just, I don't know.
So that is Kraken being accused of operating as an unregistered securities exchange, broker, dealer, and clearing agency. I'm here with you. The SEC is doing a lot of things. They're looking at a lot of penalties and disgorgement. But the other thing is that Kraken is being charged with commingling funds. Yeah.
So this part is concerning. And again, I don't know how after this many years we screwed this up as a space this bad, but pretty much anything that isn't completely decentralized seems to have these kind of skeletons in the closet. I don't understand where, because I have to believe that the founding teams of most of these businesses didn't start the business to do malicious or nefarious things. They probably started it with a very positive vision and a certain level of ethical standards and so on. And I feel like it's kind of like that series of really small decisions that only matter when you look at them in aggregate.
Well, that's kind of the SBF argument, though, right? It's like, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong one at a time.
Well, exactly. So there's a point where that argument, you don't think you're wrong, but you should have fucking known, because at some point it becomes obvious that what you're doing is not acceptable. And I think it doesn't matter who you are, what your business experience is. Commingling customer funds with operating funds is never acceptable under any circumstance in any business. Why on earth do we think that it's okay to do that? Not only do they commingle them here, but they fucking use them in the space. FTX used them, like Three Arrows, Alameda, Celsius, everybody. They're all doing the craziest shit. And I don't think they just woke up one morning and were like, hey, I'm going to defraud these people for $2 billion. It started with,
I don't know, Susie might have done that.
Well, maybe, but usually it's like the $50,000 hole. Okay, we'll fix it. And then it just gets out of control. And by the time that anybody realizes, it's too late. And so this totally sucks.
So the thing that I really don't like about this, though, is that it is twofold, but it's being reported on together, which is such a smooth PR move from Kraken, because all of us are going to poo-poo the securities. All of us are going to poo-poo just this general FUD that's around the SEC charging everybody. And so I feel like the commingling of funds, which actually is really bad and that we should have scrutiny for, is being kind of lost in that. It's being washed out in that.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some interesting products being built right now. Chainlink came out with the proof of reserves a while ago, and there's others that have similar products. And they're pretty cool. It's an unbiased third party that's reporting, the value and movements of collateral and assets. I mean, that's super standard in every other space. The fact that it's just emerging as relevant here is kind of surprising, but yeah, I don't know. The SEC, like this is challenging because it kind of feels like they're just throwing everything at the wall right now. I don't understand why, because it's abundantly clear to anybody who's paying attention that there will be crypto regulation. Crypto's not going away, but they're trying to squash all of the people that have any scale. And I don't know what the strategy is here. If that's to pave the way for the incumbents in traditional finance to come in and capture market share. I don't know. I don't know what the incentive is, but it's strange, other than $4 billion in revenue.
Yeah, maybe that. And I mean, Kraken already settled once at 30 mil, so surely they'll settle again. What do you think about the SEC now coming out and directly saying that Cardano and Solana are securities? I mean, I'm not surprised, but it seems like people on crypto Twitter are.
I have to be careful what I say here, just because this does live online forever. But what we need is clarity. That's it. This one-off, one asset at a time. It's probably a security. Well, is it or is it not? Is there like a definitive criteria other than the Howey test? Because we've all essentially identified that the Howey test probably isn't accurate for this particular space. What other criteria do we have to determine whether something is a security, or what guidelines do we have to avoid being a security if we don't want to be? None of that exists. So currently, other than the blanket statement that everything but Bitcoin is a security. And that has not been definitively stated either. So whenever I hear this, I think, cool, in a sense. At least they're telling us what they're thinking. So we should be able to gather some intelligence from this and say, okay, whether I agree or not is irrelevant, because the person that can penalize me thinks that all of this shit is a security. And until we have legislation that says otherwise, then that is going to be the truth. And so I don't mind seeing this, because now we know, okay, according to the SEC, Solana and Cardano are securities. I don't agree with that personally. But I mean, that's what's being claimed. So let's act accordingly, at least for now, until we're told otherwise. So I don't mind this, just because it gives us a little bit more clarity. But I think we all kind of knew. The writing's a little bit on the wall. They've been implying that everything's a security. So we should probably act like everything's a security if we want to stay on the right side of problems. Now, that's easy for me to say, because I have very little path dependency. So I can do whatever I want with that information. If you're a centralized exchange that your entire business has been on, in this particular case, operating an unregistered securities exchange, it's not that simple to just turn around and fix it, because you've been already doing it and it's your whole business. So you see Coinbase building Base. That's a very important transition, I think, away from where they're seeing more and more problems into an environment where they can claim, in the purest sense, the advantages of blockchain. In the centralized environment, most of the benefits of blockchain are lost in the fact that there's a centralized vector. And so anyways, we need legislation. That's it. I mean, again, I'm a stuck record on this. Whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter. We need it, because right now it's near impossible for US persons or any businesses that are adjacent or involved or considering being involved in the US. There is no path. There's no path currently that's viable. If we're all securities and we have to go through the antiquated process of getting licensing and approval, it's a fucking non-starter. It's the same reason that there's no innovation in traditional finance right now, because the barriers to entry are far too high. If that's the case, if we don't make any adjustments to accommodate an emerging technology and its nuance, then we might as well accept that we're losing our status on the global stage, because that's what's going to happen. Boom.
Well, I like this segue. Apple might also lose its status on the global stage in terms of crypto, at least. So on November 17th in California, a class action lawsuit has been filed stating that Apple is engaging in anti-competitive agreements. Basically, they have Venmo, they have Cash App, and on your Apple phone and iPad, it appears that you can't actually participate meaningfully with other peer-to-peer payments, both in terms of Web 2 and Web 3. So this is a pretty interesting, I think this is a really interesting class action, because it'll be difficult to determine what the damages of that are. But I do appreciate the concept of saying, hey, you are having these exclusivity contracts that we don't think are appropriate.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long. There's some serious antitrust concerns, in my opinion, in the way that the Apple App Store functions. Notably and very obviously, Amazon and Audible. You can't actually buy anything on Audible in the application. And the reason is because Apple has this extortion level rev share where they take 30% or more in some cases of all revenues. I mean, that's obviously a non-starter for applications that already have distribution, like Amazon, as an example, but it's prohibitive. There's a lot of companies that have very limited functionality on their Apple apps for that reason. There's just so many rent-seeking opportunities in there by Apple, and that's what they're doing. And so that totally sucks. Like, I think it's not good for innovation. I kind of understand Apple's argument. So the counter argument is the Google Play Store, where the process of getting an app on the Google Play Store is like simple. The process of getting an app on Apple App Store, not so simple. And the argument,
and in this particular instance, is reduced because there are contracts in place,
right,
saying that they have exclusivity.
Right. So I mean, we'll have to see. It's unfortunate, because I think, there already is almost a monopoly. There's Google Play and Apple App Store, and Apple says they're protecting their consumers. They're vetting all their apps in a different way. They charge a fee for doing so. They charge a fee for their distribution because it's second to none. Totally get it. 30%? I don't know. This thing, like where you have exclusivity contracts and where you literally can't use certain major applications on an Apple, that's concerning. How do they show damages? I think they can probably show, well, actually, I really don't know how they would show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Like, because you'd have to imply some version of conversion. Like, how many do you think?
Maybe they can compare it to their Google Play app. I don't really know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, or if they had it, if it was on the App Store before and then it started blocking them, then they can look at change, I guess. I don't know. Nonetheless, I think this has been a long time coming. Like, I think there needs to be a shakeup in how this is done, because there's an incredible monopoly. And it's the same thing. As soon as you have these monopolistic entities like Apple and, well, in this particular case, Samsung, Android, new entrants, it's almost impossible. That's a problem with finance. It's so expensive to integrate, and these guys have everything. The garden is walled. Like, they put exclusivity everywhere they can in manufacturing and distribution and shipping. Like, they get all these crazy exclusivity contracts to the extent that if I wanted to start a mobile phone company, which I don't, it would be next to impossible.
Good luck.
Yeah, which I don't.
Okay, well, let's end on some good news. So the Blockchain Expo of 2023 is coming up right away. It's on November 30th in London. And there are some really big names. I mean, we always see big names at this particular expo, but with the bear market, people weren't sure if we were going to have attendees like Coca-Cola and MasterCard coming again. Turns out, yes, we have Adidas, we have Dyson, we have HSBC, we have Casper Labs. So if you are in London and area, go join your 6,000 other attendees at the Olympia.
I feel like I should go to that.
Yeah, we should definitely be going to that. We also should have gone to Istanbul.
I'm surprised they didn't offer me a speaking spot here. Maybe they've seen the pod and they're like, fuck this guy. We don't want him on stage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the other problem. The pod could be good or bad. People watch us. They're like, oh, yeah, we want these guys to come talk. The other thing is, if they want us to come talk and then they watch the pod, they might not after. But nonetheless, the Istanbul, the feedback from Istanbul was that it was a lot of fun, good energy. a lot of excitement, innovation, a lot of really exciting products. As we switch sentiments in the cycles, the conferences are very different.
Yeah, they're going to get ramped back up.
Yeah. And I think these are the conferences that I'm most excited about. The ones that are like peak bull, it's too frothy. Everybody's blowing money like it's their job. Protocols are wasting money. Ecosystems are wasting money. Users are wasting. Everybody's wasting money. But right now, people are still in bear market mentality, but excited that, of all the exciting shit that's coming up. And I, for one, have been waiting long enough. I'm ready. Let's do it.
It's time.
All right.
Okay, that is your news today. It was a little bit funny because it's all SEC.
The SEC can beat it. But
Not
I mean,
Friday.
again, if I ever get scammed, I want them to be there. So.
Well, but will they be? Or are you
No.
going to have to go to the RCMP? Okay.
All right. We're a live show.
All of the
Friday,
major venues. We're on more venues than your body has room for.
That's right. But you could consume us on each venue. That would be good. We should give away like prizes for that. Like maybe I'll do like a banana hammock calendar.
Ooh.
And if you watch on all the venues for like a week, so you got to watch the pod 5 times or 6 times or 8 times, then maybe
we can do that with Sealy or something.
Then maybe you get one of the calendars. I don't think anybody wants a calendar of me though, so might be non-motivating. Anyways, all right, we're live Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you tomorrow with what is tomorrow? DGen Day. DGen Day tomorrow. Whoop whoop.
JD.
Go find yourself.
Go find yourself.
Bye.